Marvel fans, it is the week of the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier being released, and we are doing our first official preview video for an episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's a little bit redundant, but I'm pumped. Let's talk about the first episode. What's up, everybody? It's Josh. Welcome back to the channel. Smash that like button, and I want to remind you a large part of what we're doing at the Den of Nerds is happening over on that live streaming channel. And yeah, I talk about that thing all the time, but there's a reason you should be over there. Okay, I'm excited to do this video just like we did with WandaVision. We're going to be doing weekly breakdown, or rather preview videos for the coming episodes of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Let's address the obvious elephant in the room. Are we going to be getting as hyped up on different fan theories and talking about speculation just as much as we did with WandaVision? The answer is absolutely. Yes. So, kind of joking, but not really. I'm still going to be doing it. I'm still going to be talking about all kinds of crazy theories, speculations, ways that it could tie into Secret Wars, Dark Avengers, and all sorts of super nerdy things. So, here's what it is.
That's not a thing.
That's definitely a thing.
No, it's not.
All right, but enough of all that. Let's get into the preview for what we can expect for the coming episode. Now, I want to be very clear. People have seen this episode, and there are some things that we know for sure are leaked out there that are not supposed to be publicly known. We will be talking about some of those things in this video, but we're going to save that for much later in the video. But enough of all that. Let's get into the preview for what we can expect from this episode. A lot of this is coming from different social media reviews that people have done talking about the episode, different interviews, articles, things that scoopers are saying. Again, we're going to be very spoiler light here, but we will be talking about some big potential spoilers at the end of this video. Now, one of the main things that we can expect from this episode is a big action sequence that more or less looks to happen at the beginning of the episode. It's one of those things where, you're not supposed to say anything technically on your social media embargo date, about the plot, but several people couldn't help themselves and talked about the great action sequence that more or less begins the episode. Now, this is pretty cool. I think it's a great way to start a buddy cop style movie like this. It's Disney Plus streaming show, you know what I mean? But it's nice to start it out with action. It sets a tone for it, and unlike what we had with WandaVision, which again was really enjoyable for a lot of people, but unlike that more cerebral, just kind of confusing mystery box type of a thing, you're going to be fed a sweet action sequence right away. And people weren't just saying it was cool, they were saying it was really cool, potentially one of the coolest things they've seen as far as an action sequence in the MCU. Again, great way to start the show. I'm looking forward to it. However, there's also an indication by a lot of the different reports and the social media reviews that there's a slower section of the first episode that takes place in the wake of that action sequence. Now, there's speculation on if this means that there's going to be a funeral for Captain America. We've seen a lot of photos and there's a lot of evidence to suggest that there will at least be a scene or a sequence that takes place during some kind of a funeral with Captain America. And we know that the show is going to focus on the passing of the Captain America mantle and legacy. And that, of course, is happening because Chris Evans is gone. He went through the timeline. He's an old Joe Biden looking man now, so he's not going to be throwing that shield around anymore. And the show is going to talk a lot about Sam and his feelings about stepping into that role, becoming that person, wanting to do it, not wanting to do it, the government wanting to do it, the government not wanting him to do it. And so I guess what I'm saying is buckle up for some character-driven exposition that is likely going to deal with a lot of what all of the different characters are personally dealing with and feeling in the wake of losing Steve Rogers and in the wake of the world that they are now acting in. And on that note, if the show begins with an action sequence that has Falcon and the Winter Soldier in it, which again seems like a no-brainer, you would want your two stars to be in that action sequence, then that would imply that 6 months after the events of Avengers Endgame, they are out there acting in some ways on their own, fighting crime. Now, more on this in a second because it technically gets into some of the spoilers that we do know about, but that's an interesting idea. And you must understand that if they are out doing that, it's possible that somebody who's officially involved with maybe the Avengers or the government could also come and find them and create an awkward situation. Regardless, the scenes around the funeral and the scenes with people like perhaps a General Ross or somebody from the government, those scenes are all going to likely happen, at least partially, in episode 1. And there's another aspect of the show that might well be explored in episode 1 that some fans might consider to be slow-paced or not exactly what they were looking for the first episode of an action-paced show like Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And this stuff will all have to do with Sam personally, and likely Sam's family. Now, we've seen a lot of these different shots from the trailers to indicate that Sam is training with the Shield, and Bucky is seemingly there with him, and we think that the house or the place that he is at is in the South, and it is where Sam's family is. In fact, we've already seen leaked set photographs that show Sam's sister and Sebastian Stan as Bucky, and those two even flirting, and it's sort of creating some drama for Sam, one of those classic tropes. Without going too far down the leak and, that kind of rabbit hole, let's just say we more or less know that this will be part of episode 1, if not episode 1, some of the early episodes, and some fans may take an issue with this because they think it's slow. Some people might think that it is even Marvel attempting to be super woke and reacting to things that happened in 2020. Now, ironically, we've been talking since late 2019 about how the Falcon the Winter Soldier was rumored to be adapting aspects of the Captain America Truth, Red, White, and Black storyline, which talked about a sort of secret history for the Captain America lineage that has some actual real world reference points. And just for the sake of spoilers, we're going to leave it there. We've talked about this in great detail in other videos and on the streams and stuff, but if you're curious, check some of that stuff out. For now, because I think this will be a surprise to some people in coming episodes, I'm going to leave it right there. But this is simply not something that was done retroactively. It just happened that we had some crazy civil rights events take place last year that were, honestly, some of the most impactful moments of the fight for equality in, I would say, the last 200 years. And so it literally just happens to be that happened after they had already created this storyline and had already made the decision to deal with some of these things from the comics. Now, again, your mileage is going to vary on how you personally feel about that, but that's not really our job to tell you how to feel about it. I'm just telling you it's going to be a thing. It will likely be covered in the first episode to some degree. Generally speaking, there just seems to be this vibe out there with the people that have seen the episode that while it starts out with this incredible action thing, that there's gonna be a lot of character stuff filling up the rest of the episode. Because again, it's all about setting expectations with these preview videos here at the Den of Nerds, just like how we guaranteed that Doctor Strange was gonna show up at the end of WandaVision. We're clearly always right. This character is the actual Evan Peters character.
Ralph Boner?
Boner.
And on that topic, let's get into the spoilers. Spoiler warning, because I'm about to talk to you about how Mephisto's going to be in the show and which character is going to reveal themselves to be Mephisto.
Absolutely not.
If you don't want to know anything about spoilers, get on out of here. Smash like on your way out, and I'll see you at the watch party or in some other videos. Okay, so you're still here. Cool. Check this out. It's pretty much confirmed that Rhodey, War Machine, will be showing up in this episode, and the smart money is on him showing up either in the action sequence, which I'm really, really hoping for because I love Falcon being able to fly and being in the air, and War Machine also flying. Like, it's a very small part of the Battle of Wakanda in Infinity War, but it's dope. The fact that you have a couple of dudes actually in the air, dropping bombs, making things happen, it's really cool. But if he's not in the action sequence, he's likely there at Cap's funeral, having a discussion with those two about coming back in for the Accords, Steve's legacy, etc., etc. I'm super pumped for this because it does have a really cool through line into maybe Armor Wars, into some of the machinations and things going on with the MCU. We've talked a lot about the potential for Thunderbolts, Dark Avengers, Sword to be infiltrated by Skrulls and different things like that. A lot of weird stuff is happening in Phase 4. And so Rhodey being in the episode, them dealing with the legacy of Cap and how crazy the post-blip world actually is, is likely going to take up a lot of time in this episode. And then for me personally, like, I'm cool with all of this. Like, I think my expectations are properly set up. I've been excited. I've been telling you guys for a long time that Falcon and the Winter Soldier is my most anticipated thing in Phase 4. And that's with more or less the knowledge of what it was going to do with its plot. I actually love that story from the comic books, you know? It has just a lot of interesting elements to it. And to be completely honest with you, like, I wasn't super crazy about what they did with Sam as Falcon Cap in comics, like around the 2017-2018 time period. But to me, that doesn't necessarily mean that, like, Feige couldn't do a version of that way, way better. I mean, he just elevates a lot of the stuff that he touches and puts sort of new twists on old lemons. I'm generally excited to see what he does and how he will handle things of this nature. And yeah, other than that, guys, we'll just have to see maybe a little Zemo action, maybe a little Sharon Carter introducing a sort of chase that they'll have to go on, chasing down some MacGuffins together. That could be really fun as well. So there you have it, guys. The preview for the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Let us know what you think about some of these things. Do you believe it? Do you think we're way off? What do you expect for the episode? Let us know all of that in the comment section below. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.